gentlemen, we are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Shop Talk, YouTube's premier off-the-clock appliance repair network for off-the-clock appliance repair techs. I'm your host with the most, Brother B, and you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, we got some VIP guests this evening, coming straight out of what city, guys?
Madison, Ohio, Cleveland.
Madison, Ohio. We got FREDS Appliance Academy. But before we get into that, get some quick news out of the way. Don't forget, please check out our website at tmmacademics.com. Go to our classifieds. If you're hiring, firing, retiring, whatever you're doing, you got parts for sale, whatever. Also, please check out our paid sponsors. If you're slow at work, please check out the Appliance Repairmen. Ask for Roxanne Cross. Also, go to AMJ Marketing. Please visit their description down below. With all that out the way, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to tonight's guest. I'm sure if you have been in this field, you know exactly who these guys are. These guys are the somebodies of somebodies. You walk into any major appliance repair parts store, you see their flyers all over the place. You go into the ASTIs, these guys are the somebodies of hands-on training. So I'm not going to introduce them. I'm going to let them introduce them. And I'm also going to tell you how did this conversation begin. I'll say what I did and then I'll let them segue. I got a from my business partner Rick. He says, "Hey, we're gonna do a shop talk with FREDS." I said, "FREDS? Okay." He said, "Yeah." I said, "No way." He said, "Yeah." And here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to tonight's guest. Guys, introduce yourselves.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Hallmark with FREDS Appliance Academy and Fluid Services.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Chad Phillip, and I'm the instructor at the FREDS Academy.
And nice to have you guys on the show.
Thank you.
Please, who are you guys? Introduce yourselves.
So I've been around the industry since about 2001. Adam Butcher, who runs the academy and runs FREDS Appliance Service, we went to high school together. I also went to high school with this guy.
Yep.
Since I started out in service, it was about till 2004, and then I went to college for a year or two. I was working at a parts distributor while I was at college, Dayton Appliance Parts. And from there, I started working for Electrolux and had an opportunity to help train. So my experience with FREDS service led to that opportunity. A lot of the training videos that you still hear with Electrolux is my young ass talking in the background. Standard definition videos. That's how long ago some of that content was made. From Electrolux, the recession hit. I was a contractor at Electrolux, so my time was short there. Easy, expendable. And then from there, I went on to sales. Because that was pretty much, I did service, did parts, worked for a manufacturer. Why not do the last piece of the circle when it comes to an appliance being made and sold to a consumer? And I sold appliances for a few years at first for some chains and then a mom and pop place up here in Cleveland called Snow Brothers. Then around 2014, I joined back up with the academy. Fred, who founded the academy in 2008, wanted to retire. And everything that he taught was up here, and it's really hard to train new instructors when it's all up here. We got to get it all written out, get a big structure laid out, and figure out how do we train trainers now. We figured we had at least a loose idea on how to train staff and get regular basic technicians out on the road. Now we had to figure out how do we make experts so we can now train the trainers and keep this cycle going, so it's not just because you got to have 50 years experience like Fred did to be able to train. Ideally, we want those guys, but not all of them are trainers, and not all of them want to train. So that was my main goal, and part of that, I also taught the class alongside Fred, and over time, our students, we get people that are part of the industry, so they're already hired by somebody. That's a big part of who comes to our class. So we have people from all over the country that come to this class for hands-on training. So we're just part of their training program. They get hired, go out on the road for a month or two, and then they send it to us to get the basics figured out. And it's a 3-week course. We can go more into that later.
Wait, 1 second.
Sure.
You said they ride with the company first for a month or two, then they send them to you?
Absolutely.
That's pretty genius.
Can you guess why I do that, Brandon? Why do you think I'd want to do that?
I'm interested. I've never
Okay,
heard
it's
that
all right.
about
I
you.
just wanted
Go
to see
ahead.
if you guess. So the
I don't
reason
want to guess wrong though, but go ahead.
there's no wrong guesses. That's why it's a guess. No, all right. Anyway, main reason is because God forbid you make that investment and you send a student to us, and I have to call you that
Mm,
first week and they're not showing up on time. So that's really the main reason, is to get the basic stuff that you have to vet as an employer. I mean, we'll vet it for you, but man, that really sucks to make that investment and I have to send them home. Not only did you potentially lose the investment with us, but now you've got nothing. You got to start over from scratch. So ideally, you want to make
mm,
sure that that tech can do the basics. Are they a good person? Do they show up on time? Are they not going to steal stuff? You know, the basic things that you got to kind of weed out, and then you make an investment on training. Plus, it also gives them, there's a second reason, the exposure. So we only can do so much in a controlled environment, as you guys can attest to that from training as well. So I'm not going to take the time to have a dead squirrel in the dryer in our lab. We'll give an example there. That is something you experience when you're out on the road, dealing with the customers, dealing with the environment, dealing with the home. Getting that extra exposure, the more of that you can get, the more you'll get out of the training. So that way I don't have to try and give you all these examples in an abstract way. Same with dryer vent situations. Like, again, there's only so much room in our academy. There's only so many ways we can build all these unique ways that we see vents out in the field. See some of that stuff, get exposed to it, understand what customers are asking and saying. That gives you way more context. Now, we have had people come in fresh off the boat, so to speak. They get hired and we're like the first day. It never really goes as well as it can because they just they have no clue what their policies are.
mm,
So not every company wants to run on every call. Not every company wants to run on every brand. So you
mm,
could send an employee, and if you're only working on Whirlpool products, well, ideally that student, they can take the opportunity when they're in our lab and focus more on that brand. We have other brands, but they don't have to spend time working on those other ones if they don't think they're going to get exposed to it. But again, if you don't have that exposure as a student and your employer hasn't dictated it either, you're going to come here and it's great for them. They're going to get the exposure, but maybe we didn't maximize the time so they could be more productive when they get sent back, which is ultimately how they're going to be judged. So those are a couple of the reasons why we wouldn't. I can't remember what
not
we were talking
too
about to
shabby,
begin with,
not
but I'll
too
let you keep
shabby.
asking questions.
Ladies and gentlemen, please hit the like, subscribe, and share button. Let's just say this. My explanation was definitely not that. But
Fair enough.
but what a good way to vet and you vet the candidate or the potential employee. Not too shabby, not too shabby. A lot of guys don't know what appliance repair is to begin
No.
with,
Mm-hmm.
or the complexities of these appliances and the intricacies of the job description itself,
Mm-hmm.
i.e., the electrical, the plumbing, the refrigeration. You got so much
HVAC.
going on,
Mm-hmm.
and you get a guy off the street. It could be very daunting on an individual. Now you've spent all this money to pay for this program, and pardon my French, but you're up shit's creek. So how has that policy of yours helped your academy, and how has it helped your students?
The policy of making sure that they've had exposure before coming.
Yeah,
Okay.
how
So
has that worked for you?
yeah, it's worked really well. I mean, it's still not perfect because a majority of our students come from employers. So it really comes down to the employer taking those steps. And we try and educate as best as we can. The other thing that we offer is we offer free aptitude tests. We have them on our website. You can take them for free. We use them for job screening. We use it for our own techs, and then we pass it along to the industry so they could do it as well. Obviously, we have an ulterior motive, because of the fact that you're going to send students our way if you use the tests, and that's why we made them free. We wanted to give you the same resources we use to make the choice.
And where
So,
can people go
when
to
I
that
interview
website?
somebody, I could go step by step how we interview someone.
Eh,
And we share this with our clients as well, because we want them to have success so they get the right candidates and make the right investments so they can start making money. So we start with we get them to apply through our website. They have to submit a resume. If they don't bother, they can't submit the form without submitting a resume. So they have to at least attach something to it, whether or not it's something that's actually worthwhile reading. I typically barely even look at the resume when I first get them. What I do immediately, no phone call. They get an email with instructions to go to our website to take the aptitude test. They're instructed to put my email address in so I get the result. They can't see what they got right or wrong. They can only see what the total score is. And I'm not that harsh. We'll talk to somebody that only gets a 50% on the aptitude test I want them to take, which is a failing grade, but that doesn't mean you're a bad technician. You just might not, it's ignorance potentially. But you follow directions. That is a huge deal. We followed a couple directions. One, you can use a computer or your phone, which that's kind of a mandatory requirement nowadays. And we kind of gloss over that stuff and talk to them about their technical skills. I can train you to be a tech. I can't train you to have common sense and be a good person. So hopefully you will actually, follow those directions, get the test done, and do reasonably well. Then we have a second test where I have my calendar on our website where they can set up a time with me based off of whatever they have available. I ask them to pick the time for our phone interview. Do you know why I would ask them to pick the time themselves and not me pick it for them, Brandon? You got a guess? You didn't expect me to ask you questions. I'm a teacher, so
You know that my guesses probably aren't as sophisticated as yours. But based on what the way I see you do is you want to see if they can keep that scheduled time that they set.
Perfect. You are 100% correct. So yes, that is it. Because if you've ever done interviews before, misscheduling can happen. Things come up. But man, there's no excuse. If you pick the time and you didn't show up, it goes into the circular file. No, we're done. You move on. Try somebody else. So a lot of companies.
One second. Let's get back though to that aptitude test.
Sure.
What is that site that guys can go to find this information at? Go ahead and give that.
academy.fredsappliance.com. And then you'll scroll down to the footer and you'll see a variety of links. So we have a jobs board where you can post for free. We tell all of our alumni to go there as well. Anyone's welcome to post a job, post a resume. It's all free. And then the aptitude test, you'll see that in the same linkage as well. And if you're not sure, just ask our team. We'll point you in the right direction. So
cool. Okay, let's go now to number 2. So the guy or gal picks what's the ratio of that before we go any further, guys and gals? I'm curious on a side note. How are women doing in the industry?
We have 2 female technicians on our staff right now.
Good.
One is doing fantastic. She actually is our #1 in surveys. Crushes the men. Her name's Karina. She kills it. She actually comes in and speaks with the class when she gets an opportunity, just to give exposure and get a separate opinion from us instructors and people that are doing it every day still. And it's always funny when it's a woman, because that always catches a few folks off guard. We do have another female technician in training right now, Heck Marie. She's doing a great job as well. We're getting great feedback, but she's still training. So as far as ratio, I'd have to say I think we maybe have gotten another female, and then the rest are male. So it's less than 10 overall.
Yeah,
okay.
Less than 10 in 10 years.
Yep. So it's still a low percentage. Yeah. So it's almost not even worth looking at the stat because it's so low. But the ones that have applied, some have worked out great. But I would say it doesn't really matter if it's a man or a woman. It still comes down to, are you going to be attentive, receptive, a good person? We'll teach you appliance repair from there. That's the easy part, in retrospect of all those other things.
Okay, so a guy or girl signs up. You guys send them the email. You do the 2 interviews. Now they board a plane and they show up to, what is it, Madison, Ohio?
So with us, our service department only does Northeast Ohio. The Academy is a national entity because we get people from all over. So if they were hired by FREDS Appliance Service, at that point, we bring them in for a face-to-face discussion. We'll set up a time with them from there. That gives me a chance to meet them because I'm not doing the phone interviews anymore either. Adam and I both will sit down with a new hiree and just get a chance to meet them, shoot the shit, and make sure they're a real person and really want the job. And we'll typically give them a try at that point. And then they ride with a senior technicians. They'll try and rotate and get exposure from others for a month or 2. And then it kind of depends on our academy schedule. With COVID right now, we're not running any classes till September. So Heck Marie hasn't had a chance to get into the academy, and she won't until then. But at that point, we would throw them through our 3-week class, which gets them the basic principles, foundational skills that they need. And then they go back out on the road it's kind of up to them. It's really when they are comfortable and confident. Obviously, we want them out there as soon as possible, but I don't want failure. I don't want to break their confidence. I don't want them to get overwhelmed. So we want to make sure that they have plenty of exposure to be out there. And then we'll start them small. They'll start with like 4 to 6 jobs a day, but the goal is 10. That's what we expect our techs to do, and they do it.
Wow, talking about process flow. That's buying parts, ordering parts, calling in parts, diagnostics, tech support, installation, drive time to do 10. You guys must run a fine oiled machine.
You're welcome to come up and check it out, man. But yeah, we do.
Awesome.
That's Adam in the background.
What's up, Brother Adam? Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like, subscribe, and share button for Brother Adam in the background.
Yeah, so part of how we're able to accomplish that is we dial in the technology side of things. So, for example, the tech will look up a part out on the field, and they can reschedule while in the home because we ship all our parts direct to the customer. There is no parts picker at FREDS. There is no inventory at FREDS. In fact, the building I'm in right now is our academy. We don't have a service building really. We have an office, but it's basically storage now. So the entire team works from home. Techs get dispatched from their homes, and they're expected to be at their first call at 8 o'clock. So there is no horsing around in the morning, getting your parts, making sure the calls are confirmed, making sure all that's done by the support team on the back end from home. So, and part of the shipping direct is really as much as we hate Amazon for some things, that is a big reason why we're able to do it, because Amazon has pushed the narrative of getting stuff out quickly and having shipping available 7 days a week. So as long as we are confident that the part will arrive when it's supposed to, we'll reschedule for the next day. So today's Friday, I come to your house, you need a water pump, I don't have it in my truck. I'll have my tablet out, I'll say, okay, we can get it ordered, it's supposed to arrive on Monday, your house Monday it'll be here, so I'm gonna set you up for Tuesday. That's the experience before we leave the house. So the customer knows when we're coming back, knows when the part's coming, they'll get the part, and then we'll show up on Tuesday, and they'll get a call that Monday night. We just confirm by the tracking number that they've got it. So we still have a parts picker, it's just they're doing it by using tracking numbers instead of unboxing it, taking the part, putting it in another box of some kind, giving it to the tech. Then the tech's got to take it. Hopefully there's no damage in any of this, right? I'd rather put that burden on FedEx and UPS if I can. But the idea of transitioning all that stuff and then taking it from your truck and then into the customer's home. Oh, there's a little scratch on that door. Sorry. Or something like that. We can ship right to the customer and we ask them to inspect it. Does it look good? Great. Now I'll send a tech. So stuff like that. It's a lot of little things. That's why it's really hard. We'll get company owners asking us, like, how are you able to hit that 10 tech threshold? And it's like, or 10 job threshold. It's because of little things. It's how we bill, it's how we pay, it's how we focus, it's how we communicate. And it's been a slow trickle effect over time. I'd say we've been working remote since the beginning of 2019. So wasn't a COVID reaction. We were, I guess, kind of prepared for that part of COVID, not all the other unknowns that come with it and the economic stuff, but at least the fact that we didn't have to like restructure our operation. Everybody was already working from home as it was. It was just a matter of getting PPE for our techs. That was the next big challenge that Adam mainly focused on, was to make sure that they had all the equipment they need going into folks' homes.
I had you guys, I must have the wrong people here, because I thought that you guys were just a school. I thought that you guys were a school. I didn't know you guys were an actual repair company as well.
That's how it works, because we are. That's the only way to train well, is to know the burden of the business owner. That's why business owners work with us. I'd say the last I'd have to check, it's like 70% of our students are from business owners.
That's
about right. Okay.
No, because you go into the parts house, right? And then you're sitting there frustrated. They're trying to find the part. You look to the left, there's another one of your competitors, and then you look to the right, and then there's you guys, right? And you're bored, so you pick up the flyer and you go, excuse me, you look at it and you say, oh, wow, look, these guys trained. That's pretty cool. And then you put it back, but you don't know that these guys actually run calls, and they have like this hierarchy of 10 calls in this well-fine oiled machine. You're like, whoa, I just learned something about you guys.
Yeah,
Even your Instagram and your social media is all school based for the first time ever. And I think a lot of people didn't know you guys were repairmen. I at least anyone I spoke to.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. So it just really depends on where we're exposed. We'll have the same reaction from the service side and go, "You have a school?" So it's
Oh,
so we have it coming from both directions. And then there is technically a third company, which is Fluid Services, which is how Rich and I work together, because we handle their marketing. So when I was an instructor, we would have owners come through the class, especially if they bought into an appliance repair industry and they've never done it before. So they're just here to try and be like, I just need to make sure the techs aren't screwing me over and telling me bullshit when they're going out on a repair. So I at least have an idea what the terminology is and all that. Well, in those moments, being here with them for 3 weeks, I get to know them a lot, and I get to hear all these horror stories of how marketing companies will buy your domain and then keep it. They register it under their name, and when you decide you want to leave and go find another marketing company, they're going to keep the domain and say, well, good luck. Go find another address to have on for your website. And I'm like, so Adam and I talked about it internally, and we're like, so all we got to do is be honest. That's it. We can just be really honest to people, and everything will be fine. Like there's no other strategy with marketing, and that's really been the case now. We've been doing. I have over 30 clients now across the country, and that's really my approach: is brutal honesty. In fact, with AdWords and stuff now, I'm telling everybody to do a different way. Please go ahead.
Wait. I'm sorry. I'm overwhelmed with. I'm very impressed by it. Let me start by, ladies and gentlemen, please hit the like, subscribe, and share button. You know, I pride myself on having YouTube's premiere. But I mean, you guys are great content. So let me get this straight. You got a school, you got the business, and then you got a marketing business. Am I hearing all of this correct?
We're actually a marketing / software development company, because I do have.
How the hell do you get? I thought I was crazy. How the hell do you?
We're crazy. I mean, I'll give you a crazy example.
To be in this industry.
So I was teaching one day, and it was a Monday morning. I come in on a Monday morning. He's here, Adam's here, and he's here with one of our other staff. And over the weekend, I had no clue about any of this. They built their own VoIP system using open source software. So right now, FREDS Appliance is on their own software. It's not something we would ever want to recommend selling. It's way too goddamn complicated, but that's what he did in the weekend with one of our employees. And that caught me off guard. So we're crazy. I mean, it's just once we have a moment, we see something as an opportunity that we can fix and make it better, we do it. Because so often in our business, we don't have that option. I can't make the Whirlpool washer do a better job. I can't make it more reliable, but I can make my job more reliable. I can make our experience more reliable. I'll make it so we're the best part of buying an appliance, where you would think that the service experience would be the worst part, but they're going to remember us more than the salespeople because they were able to track their technician online and see when we're coming, that we constantly are in communication. So we heavily text. You can text our 800 number. Goes right to our team. They'll respond to you just like anybody, like somebody's on their phone right now going like this. And that's been a huge morale booster for the team, because one thing that a lot of support people have to do is say the same thing over and over again on their phone. Customers, first off, don't want that phone call. So they just want to text. Hey, you're coming tomorrow. Cool. We don't need to get on the phone, line up at the same time, because then you're going to leave me a message and then I got to call you back, and then it's a bad experience.
And a lot of times they're at work and can't even talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
They're on a job and they can't pick up the phone. And here's this 1-800 number calling them, and they're like, "Oh, it's probably a debt collector or something." Ignore.
Got it.
And now, like you said, you got to leave them a message. Then you got to call them. That is true.
Those little things is why we end up getting positive feedback, why people come back, because the bar is low across the board in service in general. Have fun calling your cable company. Nobody's happy or thrilled to do that experience, because we all know it's bullshit, because they don't care and they show up between now and November. And so or the time frames from 6 to 6, so it's just if we dial that in, the only people that come on our radar that are negative experiences are just asshole people in general. You know what I mean? Yeah, the very small percentage people.
I want to ask you 2 questions. You
Sure.
alluded to my business partner, Rick, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, please hit the share, and subscribe button for Brother Rick. Please check out his videos that he's put on here. So you guys say that you guys have some sort of my business partner, Rick?
R&R Appliance Service. Yes, they're one of my clients for marketing. We do their website. They also use one of our pieces of software, Fluid Local, which is our reputation management software. So what we do with that, to just keep this at a high level, what they do is they'll take their job content and we post it through our software. So if you go to RR, you can actually see everything they've been working on lately. Obviously, we don't share the specific location, the customer's name, their serial number, anything that's private, but at least the general gist of it. If they were in Orlando and they were on this street and they were working on a Whirlpool washer, all of that's getting posted on their website, and customers can see it. So it obviously, for RR, they work in 3 different major markets. So having that local vibe is really hard to get across on just one web page, which is what these companies try and do. What we do is you have your own page for every single zip code you service. And then Fluid Local, if you give us the job content, we will distribute it correctly to the right city, and give that credit for that city. And Google sees all that too. And Google really likes that stuff because that's content. That's real content.
I gotta bring you on here for 3 episodes. I'm gonna make this a 4-part series. I'm gonna do series 1, the overview.
Sure.
Series 2, the academy.
Sure.
Series 3, the repair one, and series 4, fluid.
Sure.
But let's move on.
No problem.
Move on, because we can be here forever talking
We
about
can.
this.
My phone calls usually last 60 minutes. I was prepared.
I'd like to ask you a second question.
Sure.
Define to me what is the family tree of Fred's Appliance Academy, because I thought it was a guy named Fred. I've seen 1 or 2 videos.
He's still floating around. He's actually closer to you. He retired in Florida. I'll give you his address.
Look at that. We'll have shop talk live at Fred's place.
Honestly, we might be able to convince him to do this. We'll see. It's hit or miss with a tire
down enough to do it.
Exactly. So Fred's Appliance started in '96. Fred originally had a company for him, but even years back, he started a business when he was in his 20s. So this was in the 70s, I think. It didn't go anywhere. He was in his 20s. You know, it wasn't really the main pride and focus for what he was doing. And then he worked at Sears for a good chunk of time. And eventually, Sears went from being a really great place to work in the 80s. And then over time, as they were like, well, this is costing us money to pay you guys good wages, we're going to slowly start peeling that stuff back. You're going to start working on other things that maybe you don't want to work on. And, you know, the systemic failure of most corporations when they get too big and they start making too much money. So when he eventually had an opportunity to break away from Sears, he decided to start his own business. And he was operating out of his garage. That's where Fred's started, was out of his garage in '96. And he would work on anything. Like, it wasn't just appliances. He was doing tanning beds, popcorn machines, garage door openers. Yep.
There's some guys like that, man. There's some guys that are just naturally talented.
Food on the table. That was what it was about. It was just like, hey, they're giving me money to do something to fix it. I'm going to make sure it works. That was his attitude. He then the next game plan, and what we usually recommend to anybody who wants to try and really scale their business up, is to try and start playing the warranty game in some place. So try and get warranty work from someone, because it's consistent. You know, that's the main thing, and that's work that you're not going to get no matter how your reputation looks on Google. If someone doesn't have to pay for the bill, they're not going to care if you have 1,000 good reviews. They still got to pay the bill, so they're obviously going to call their warranty company. So those are calls that you're just never going to be engaged in unless you're in that network. So he got the opportunity at a mom and pop store. They're out of business, sadly, but back then he had an opportunity. He went in, introduced himself, says, hey, I'm Fred. Here's my business card. Anything that the other guy that you're recommending doesn't work out, or you're having an issue, call me. I will solve the problem. I want to say it was a few months later, finally that opportunity came. A cooktop, special order cooktop, they couldn't get it in the spot. So Fred got the call and goes, that cooktop's going into that hole. Sure enough, it was installed, and the rest is history. They basically told their manufacturers to say, I want this guy doing all of our work. So they shifted the volume to him, and then that gave him enough stability to start hiring people. And at that point, Adam, who was still in high school, was running road calls with his dad when he get out of school. And then right about 16 years old, he was thrown the book.
Wait. So Adam is Fred's son?
Correct. Yes, thank you. That's his
All right,
oldest son.
okay. All right,
So,
cool.
Yep. Yeah. So it's still family business, even with Fred being retired. And Adam went and shifted from being out on the road to taking over the books. About, what was it, 16? Right? You were 16, 15, 16?
When I was.
Took over the books.
Oh, when I took over the books, I started doing warranty claims at 16.
Okay, so he hadn't taken everything over
And
yet.
we're going back, we're going back when we were still doing paper NARDA forms.
Mhm.
You know NARDA forms?
Yeah, the 3-ply NARDA forms where you had to fill it all out, and you had to take the pink copy, go to PDs. Yeah.
Yep. And then at 18, I took over all the admin, started balancing the checkbook and all that good
So
stuff.
Fred's like, here you go, 18-year-old, run the
figure it
business.
out.
That's when I joined. Was in it, so that's 2001, and then from there he only had 2 techs on the road, and when I left we were at maybe 4 or 5, something like that, in 2004. From there, as we already talked about me, so Fred's Appliance went on until about 2006. Electrolux came a calling. We had a good relationship with Electrolux, and they wanted to have Fred teach, or actually they wanted Fred's advice on a class at a community college down the road. Lakeland Community College. So he said, sure, absolutely. We need more I need more techs. So what do you need? He sat in a room with them, did a bunch of meetings, came up with a curriculum that ended up eventually being what we have at FREDS. And Fred, everybody at that point in Lakeland was like, okay, we just need an instructor. That's all we need. They all just kind of looked at Fred. And Fred had never taught a class in his life, had no real experience doing it. He didn't really want to do it. He almost left on his first day. He actually got really cold feet-ish and was pacing in the bathroom because he just wasn't feeling it and almost left. But he stuck through it and ended up really liking it. And then discovered.
That's a good story.
Yeah, he ended up really liking it, and he. But then we have a challenge with the Lakeland model was only Electrolux. So we want to teach Electrolux, but we got to talk Whirlpool, Samsung, LG. Samsung and LG were just coming out on the market and starting to become a real force. And so he pivoted and left Lakeland and started his own operation in 2008 here, where I'm sitting. And since then we've trained 1,000 students, over 1,000.
Over 1,500.
Over 1,500. Jesus.
Please hit the like, subscribe, and share button. You guys have done a lot for the appliance repair industry. That's awesome.
We're trying. So yeah, and then the academy evolved. I mean, it used to just be this facility, and we had everybody housed at hotels. Then we bought property just next door, and they're all housed there. We have student housing, so they have their own apartment buildings. Everybody can congregate, work together, walk to class. So literally, you only need to get dropped off at Cleveland Airport, and we can, you can set up a taxi ride to Madison and schedule it for your return, and you don't even need a rental now. So this was to help, again, to try and make it as cheap as we possibly could to try and drive this experience. And then Fluid started around 2016. And that was because, again, we're dealing with so many owners. It wasn't just the fact that we saw the opportunities in the marketing. It just came down to the reality of we need to try and help every business out in running better so they can grow even faster, which will lead to more opportunities for us to have more students. So there is a motive to all my stuff, apparently, right? But it's a good motive. It's about just, the only way we're going to get you guys to have more taxes to run more efficiently. So you can have the extra capital and revenue to be able to invest in your training. So our entire service operation is basically open source. So you want to see how we work, you want to see how we pay, you want to see the structures and all that, you want to see the operation. Well, we'll flip on a screen share during one of our other sessions, and I'll show you our CRM and how we're managing the calls and everything. There's nothing to hide. There's plenty to learn, plenty of opportunity. So
awesome.
That's in a nutshell how this all started.
Well, let's now transition to another portion of this interview in this training.
Sure.
Okay. I want to talk about training.
Sure.
As you know, our industry is very it's a small niche. It's very esoteric. Like I said earlier, a lot of guys don't even know that this is a thing.
Correct.
But guys stumble across YouTube or somebody that they know that does appliance repair, and they get this urge that they want to learn. not everybody's from Madison. Not everybody's, from where I'm from, or anyone, a lot of guys don't have access. Some do, some don't. So guys go about training. And in your opinion, what do you think the industry it can improve on in gapping that bridge from like technicians that know their stuff or taught properly to like guys that like follow a guy who followed another guy who followed a guy, and it's just a trail of guys who change parts or that don't work, swap it, but rather what is missing to like create like an industry of like fine polished techs that all know, like we said earlier, circuitry, refrigeration, and all of that. What do you think that this industry is missing?
Two things. One, the culture in companies aren't where they need to be. I've joked before saying that, and I've joked with my clients. If I sat down in an interview, are you going to do enough to sell me to work here? Are you going to inspire me, motivate me, fire me up, be on my ass in a positive way to keep learning and get better? Or are you going to just hire me, set a bunch of expectations, and walk out the door? We hear a lot of that type of feedback, and that's just not a culture that's going to improve the situation.
Continuously improve.
Okay, exactly. In my mind, you're never done training. So we get cocky people that come in here. The first day, we'll get guys that'll automatically go, I already know everything about dryers. Well, that's cool. Show the guy next to you. And that always catches them off guard. They're always like, well, that's hard. Yeah, because you really don't know it that well. It shouldn't be hard. It should be just like talking off the top of your head, because that's when you know your shit. So that's part of the problem. The second thing is knowledge. And this is a issue that's really more the manufacturers. The constant desire to want to hide technical information from people.
Amen.
That is that knowledge should be free. Like if it's going to kill me if I work on something, I should know what's going on. But these guys all think that for some reason, if I keep this information secret, my competition won't find out. Yet you can go to Lowe's, buy the goddamn machine, bring it to your factory, and I know more than I can ever know from your goddamn tech sheet. So why don't you just release the tech sheet? It's because they're cowards. That's, I'll put it right out on the internet now, because that's what it is. They're scared. That's why you got to open source some stuff. You got to be okay sharing some info. Otherwise, someone's got to go first, right?
I want to expand on that. Think about this. You remember back in the days when Whirlpool would hand out these nice training manuals? They were about 70 pages. You can test you can listen to this. Test the component itself. You can strip charts, parts breakdown, parts theory. If you didn't know sealed system, read one of those and you'd be a beast. I mean, and now they got a little bit more lax. They started doing the fold envelope style. You open it up and it looks like a roadmap. So now it's basically nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And then they wonder why they guys get recalls. They wonder, back in the days, they used to even have in the schematics how to test an electronic ribbon. Now they don't give you that information. So you have a bad UI or you have a bad board, and you're like, man, I don't know how to test. You know how to perform the test, but you don't know what steps to take because they're not given. And these manufacturers, I'm not just going to blame one because a lot of them do it.
They're all guilty.
They hide it.
Yep. What is the worst case scenario? You're going to have better trained techs. That's the worst case scenario that I see. Happier customers, better trained techs, better brand awareness, more money. I don't know. I can't.
Also, brand loyalty.
Brand loyalty.
Brand loyalty. So if you restrict the flow of technical information, even the unauthorized network, they're going to still be servicing your products, but they're more likely to run down the product. So if they don't have confidence in the access to actually fix your products, As a manufacturer, then you're going to have technicians that are likely running down your product in a customer's home. So what does that position yourself as a manufacturer to destroy brand loyalty? So they're going to go buy another brand, you know, and that's the problem.
Think about the technician that goes in on a particular brand, one of these new high-end, you know, appliances. We don't even have to be high-end. Mid-grade, what you get out of Home Depot.
It's brand new. You've never seen it before type attitude.
This thing got 3 boards in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're standing in front of the customer, and he's looking at you like you're the professional. And mind you, you may very well be. I personally know what I'm capable of, but if I've never seen this before and I don't have nothing to go off of, my question to the manufacturer is this: when that guy or gal talks to that customer about their product, are they going to say good things? I'm not. I'm going to say, oh, these things are new and they were full of computers. They're not good. You're going to need a new one. It's going to be too much money. And you know what that is? It's a cover-up for ignorance, but not a bad ignorance that you just don't want to learn the subject matter. It's the lack of it being provided to you. You hit the nail with that one, brother. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, they the manufacturers make it more complicated by having a billion SKUs, you know, and they do that because they want to make sure that Lowe's gets their special model numbers, and they want to make sure that XYZ appliance dealer gets their special model numbers. And it's like, it just makes our jobs even harder, and it confuses the customer. You're told in a Lowe's that this is an exclusive model you can't buy anywhere else, yet you go into your neighbor's house and they have the same freaking thing, it just has a different number. How do you expect to build brand loyalty when you're being deceptive during the sale? And they openly embrace this. This is part of the model. It's been like this for decades. I hated it when I was in sales. I would just flat out tell the customer, you know, yeah, Maytag and Whirlpool is exactly the same thing. Pick the cheapest one.
Yeah.
That's why I was successful as a salesman. Because they wanted me to do the talking points and say, oh, no, the Whirlpool one technically is better because of XYZ. Yeah, the customer doesn't care about that. They care about simplicity, and is it never going to break? Because they're not interested in doing this again for at least another 10 years. And we're not focused on that. And then you look at Speed Queen and you see that they can sell a top load washer that was built in the 80s for $100 or $1,000 because they're trying to back it with a warranty at least. They're trying to approach it from what the customer's been bitching about, which is reliability. You know, so there's a number of other issues. I mean, most dealers don't hook the products up, so you never see it work ever. And you don't get to see it work until it's in your home, and you got to keep it now. So God forbid you didn't realize that the washer was going to do XYZ, it was going to make this noise, it was going to not necessarily spin the clothes out as fast as you wanted to. There's no try. You can't, at least with a car, you can get in it and drive around and go, oh, okay. You know, yeah, you might still have some changes down the line after you put 100 hours in the car, but at least you got some exposure, you have frame of reference, you feel more confident in your purchase. You're less likely to call for a warranty repair. You know, that's where they come in with customer instruct on your warranty claims. You cut that stuff down if you actually let customers use the stuff before they buy it. And dealers have the ability to set this up. Manufacturers give them co-op money. So what that means is advertisement money. How about instead of running stupid Facebook ads that nobody looks at anyway, put a little bit of money in your showroom, run some pipes. Let's get some drains in here. Let's let somebody come in, do some laundry. Could you imagine that type of an experience inside of a dealership? We've sat down with Lowe's and spelled this out to them, and they just go, oh, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to do a lot of returns too, folks. Like, and with returns, you lose customers. This cost is going to gain you customers. You're now going to be a center for people to want to come to because you do something nobody else does. We don't sell appliances. I have too much other shit to do, so I'm not.
let me ask you guys. Let's go in another direction, and let me ask you guys this. I ask all my guests when they come. I ask them, what's the end goal? What do they see themselves? What's FREDS Academy or FRED or the 1,000,001 things you guys got going on? What's the end goal for you guys?
So FREDS is not interested as a service company to expand nationwide. Many companies have tried that, and many have failed. A&E was really the last one. And my belief is the reason they fail is because they try and get somebody from Cleveland, Ohio to move to South Dakota and run the service operation there. nobody wants to do that. You can we know people that are hiring in Hawaii. They can't get enough bodies out there. What we need to do is we need to start working with the people in those communities. Why should I grab somebody that's lived 20, 30 years in Northeast Ohio and move them to these remote markets so I can expand my national brand? I'm going to just come there and show you how to do it. You do it all yourself. It's your brand, it's your name, it's your ass. But at the same time, it's yours. You're going to care more. If I come in and say this is now a FREDS Appliance franchise, you're not going to care as much. You're just not. It's just, would you care as much for your McDonald's franchise versus a homegrown diner that it's got your name on it? You're going to care more about the name. You're going to care about, because it's yours, 100% yours. You could still tell us to go away. You don't have to use our training. You could take all our info and run. I don't care. So to me, my goal is to try and get everybody running 10 jobs a day as if that is the standard, getting people that understand how to use a meter on a consistent basis, and just raising the bar nationwide. And I feel we can do that with our model without having to come in and be enemies. That's everybody. As soon as they get an advantage, they want to go, well, fuck everybody else. I'm going to expand and take everybody on. And it's crash and burn, because it's always easier in that smaller market. And even going a couple states is a challenge right now if we were to want to do that. So that's my goal. Is just let's help everybody out, and whether it's through the academy, through our fluid services with an application development or marketing, or if it's just with our own service operation and allowing companies like yourselves to come hang out and watch our stuff, and hopefully you get inspired, you'll see some opportunities to improve your own business, and you go back and make some more money and hopefully improve morale all around.
Not too shabby, not too shabby. What about the young man sitting to the right of you? That
Yeah,
guy's
he's just been
pretty
hanging
cool.
out. I can't
Just
stop
here to
talking
make
right
sure, yeah, he doesn't get out of control, because
Let's
he'll talk
Are
your
you are you the enforcer? He's definitely got to be the dean of the school.
Go ahead, Chad.
I'm just listening in for the most part, man. It's they just hired me on. I've been with FREDS for about 14 years. I went over to a different company for a while, and then Adam actually gave me a call back. Wanted me to be the instructor here, and I gladly accepted the job because of the way that this company is run. There is so much going on, and I'm transitioning into learning how everything runs in the back end of things, the office end. And it's been a lot. They're throwing things at me, and quite frankly, I feel like I'm a rookie technician again. I'm having to learn all over. If the longer you're in the field as a technician, you start to take things for granted a little bit, because when you go on a dryer and it's a Whirlpool dryer electric and they push the start button, it does nothing. All right, well, you're probably thinking in your head, hey, maybe that thermal's bad. They got a blown vent or something, So it's just bang, bang, bang. So for me, yeah, again, I feel like a rookie. But the reason I came back is because the structure here, they call it a team, but really, it's like a family, and we're able to take technicians from treating this not like a job, but like a career. And that's what makes a good technician. You take this just to have a job, and you don't want to advance. It'll ruin you quick. It's a lot to take on, like you said, electrical, plumbing. Not to dealing with the customers can be the hardest part. Just getting in their house and getting
soft
off
skills.
your back. There's a lot that goes into it, and people, you're just an appliance technician, really. There's a lot more that goes into it than just being a tech. You got to be able to drive good.
Yeah, you got to have a good
guys
driver
lose
record.
their job because they can't drive? It's silly to think about, but it's a real thing.
A lot of moving pieces. So yeah, Chad is brought on recently because of COVID. We can't teach in-house classes, and really our focus for the team has been just the in-house experiences. The online's been always on our radar, but there's only so much time in the day. Well, now we have a lot of time in the day because we're not running in-house classes. So we're using this opportunity to bring someone in with a better skill set in that area, and we'll see how it goes. I still, I champion Samurai right now. That's my online go-to. If somebody is like, man, where do I go? I need it now. I recommend Scott and Susan at Samurai. They're great. They're great people. As you know, you probably met them at Asti and stuff like that. So,
I went up to that guy and I looked him square in his eyes, and I had stage fright, believe it or not. Can you believe that? Because I used to watch that guy so much, and he was like pivotal in my
he's like a celebrity to you. Yeah.
I looked at him and I looked at one of my partners. I said, "Yo, that's Samurai right there." He was like, "Yeah, go say what's up." And I was like, it's nice to meet you. But we had spoke over the phone, but we never meet. So I'm like, man, it's Brother B, and you like a hero to me, man. Thank you for all he did. And but it is true though, because we haven't even spoke about appliance repair as a like your brother touched on it's a career, and how this industry changes lives. And like if y'all I don't know how far back y'all go with me, but from the first video I ever put up, it was always like, I just wanted to give this industry like its due respect, because it went under the radar, I felt like, for so long, and like people didn't know about it, and people were oblivious to it. But like you alluded to earlier, I think we gaining momentum now with groups like Samurai, like yourself, what I bring to the table, and the other YouTube personalities that's out there, brother Mike Sneed, Appliance Bootcamp, Up and Running, Mike Check. I'm just giving some shout outs to some of the guys, TK, Part Picker, DC Appliance, and whoever else. Like I think our industry now is starting to like really gain a foothold in comparison to some of these other trades like AC, like electrical, like plumbing, because their YouTube content is pretty relevant. Guys know on the street what a plumber is. Guys know that what an electrician is. But like the brother alluded to earlier, appliance repair, people kind of sleep on it and don't think it's a real thing. But shout out to you guys and what you guys is offering, and all the other comrades that's doing this in frontline campaigning for our industry. Thank you for that. Thank you. Because if it wasn't for this, I don't know what I would be doing with my life.
Amen to that, man.
And thank you for taking the time to start interviewing people. I mean, I know other folks are doing that too, but there's not enough of it. There's just not enough of us generating content, like you just said. So the only way for people to be aware is to generate content. We have to just explain what we're doing, explain how it works. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time.
Again, go ahead one more time, and where can folks find out? I'm sure you'll put it in the description, but for those that are listening, one more time, please go ahead. Where can people find you at?
If you want to look up our academy, it's at academy.fredsappliance.com. If you want to look up our marketing and app development, you can go to fluid.services. If you type appliance business resources into Google, we're the #1 link for Fluid, what that page is going to give you guys is it gives us all the apps we use at FREDS that we're currently using and apps that we recommend. So if you're just curious of all that as well. All that's live. I'll send you links, Brandon, and you can post them in the descriptions and stuff. And we'll obviously do this again.
Any of your other comrades got anything to say before we get out?
Boss man.
Hey, we appreciate you having us, man. We appreciate all you're doing for the industry. I had no idea you had a talk show on YouTube, and it's very cool. You got a lot of content on there, and keep up the good work. And we would love to be on your show again, man. We definitely gonna have you on. So again, ladies and gentlemen, there y'all have it. YouTube's premier Off the Clock channel for off the clock technicians. I'm your host with the most. Before we sign out, I want to just give a special shout out again to my brother Rick for putting this meeting together, because I'll be honest, I didn't have you guys on my radar for real. But thank you guys for being kind.
Thanks, Brandon.
For being kind enough to come on the channel, and ladies and gentlemen, there y'all have it. I'm your host with the most, Brother B, signing out. Thank y'all, guys.
See ya.
Having y'all. Take care. Thank you.
Anytime.